Ready? Here we go. Good afternoon. It's Saturday, October 3rd, 2020, and coming to you live from the new and improved Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm, and with me, as always, is my son, partner. Say hello, partner.
What's going on, everybody?
We are live streaming on YouTube. We're on the Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lammsports@gmail.com. And please check out our webpage, www.lammsports.com. You can find links to past shows, returning trivia questions, and much, much more. So, as always, the first part of our show is brought to you by the Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting facility at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Sunday from 11 to 7. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So it's a busy Saturday in college football.
A little bit.
As busy as we get, I guess, right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're only missing two conferences right now, so.
But there's college football going on. We're in week 4 of the NFL. And that's turned out to be a little bit interesting now. We got the NBA Finals, WNBA Finals, Major League Baseball playoffs, and it seems like all of that may be overshadowed by the NFL.
I think it's all overshadowed by the debate.
Oh my gosh. Without commenting on the debate, let's comment on the debate. Because was that not the worst dumpster fire you've ever seen in your life?
It was pretty interesting. It was. I've watched little kids argue before.
That is exactly what it looked like. And
why even have the moderator? Like, right. what's the point of this guy? He just goes, sir. It's like, dude, come on, get the hell out of here. Just give him the weapons and let him fight it out.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's take it back to gladiatorial times. The winner of this will rule our country, and it'll be that way. I don't know, man. Biden's scrappy, and he's been around.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Let's admit, and it was not any kind of. There's no coherence. It was just a bunch of people yelling at each other and telling each other to shut up. And I mean,
right.
Really, come on. I mean, if you can't be civilized at all, and of course now the president has tested positive for COVID, so we of course will wish him well. I don't wish that on anybody, but I'm hoping that it's not a political stunt. That's my basic hope. So yeah, which you never know. But anyway, we won't get into that because that's not what we do.
That's a tough road.
That's a different show. So we are going to talk about sports. And so speaking of that, SEC football is playing right now. I'm on the TV right now. I'm literally watching Alabama and Texas A&M. Alabama currently up 28-14 in the second quarter. Texas A&M has the ball, and they are driving on about their own 42-yard line or so right now. That leads us to this week's trivia question. Are you ready? I went deep.
I'm always ready for it.
This is what I do. So the Southeastern Conference has been playing a conference championship football game since they split into two divisions in 1992.
Sure.
Alabama has appeared in 11 of those championship games. They have the record, quote unquote. They have been in the most championship games. What I want to know is which current SEC teams have not appeared in the SEC football championship game. They've never been to one. All right.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So think about that. About 45 minutes or so. We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. As always, the trivia question is brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River, the Vineyard Tasting Room, 3827 Fletcher Drive, downtown at 210 Oak Street. Go to staveandstone.com. Check out their gift baskets. For more information, call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750. Or email them info@stavenstone.com. Stavenstone wines with personality. So yeah, answer at the end of the show. Hopefully somebody's got the answer. It shouldn't
Hopefully, I
be
have
that.
the answer.
It shouldn't be that hard. I wouldn't think. But it's one
I'm
of
not going to
those.
give away the way I'm going to figure it out right now, but I have a plan in my head for how to figure it out.
It's one of those negative questions where I want you to tell me who hasn't done anything. So those can be a
Right.
little those can be a little tricky. All right, so NBA Finals. Let's talk about the NBA Finals because we have to. It's 2-0 LA, and the Heat have not really been anywhere close. So the Heat led 8-6 in Game 2, by the way, before losing by 18. Never led after that. They led 43-41 in Game 1 and never led after that. And that first one was a blowout. Is there any chance for the Heat?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay.
Their goose is cooked.
And as we believe that, there's collusion, and basically the way the NBA goes now is, hey, why don't you come play for us? Because I'll restructure my contract so you can come here and give us a chance to win a title. Right? Without agents, without managers, without
Right.
anybody.
Little backdooring of the movement.
Right.
Because I think that all players should be licensed as agents. I don't think you should be allowed to contact other players unless it's in what's it called, a noted capacity. So that's the way you have to talk with agents, or in a noted capacity. Yeah. So I think all players should be counted as agents, and that any contact between players should be considered obstruction in the same way that you were trying to say Pelinka did with AD last year.
Right. Yeah, I feel like this is the new norm, and that there's going to be a way to go around the agent player relationship, or the whole, you know what I mean? There's a right way to do things. And
Right.
Clearly calling your buddy up and saying, hey, why don't you come play for us so we can win a title, is not the right way to do it. But that's the way it's going, because you can't. Yeah, because you can't. No one's going to punish them for doing it.
Yeah.
And so what's the next big thing? I mean, let me back up. LeBron James. People are gonna say he's the greatest of all time, greatest basketball player of all time. Which, okay,
he's pretty damn good.
He's pretty damn good. But is he the greatest of all time? I don't see him ever have gone anywhere and won a title by himself. He's always invited 6 or 7 of his closest friends to come win a title with him.
Yeah, I mean, he almost won a title with Cleveland the first time through.
Right, the first
time. With a team that, he didn't build that team. That was a team that he was given. So
True.
that is, I think, his most honest title run to date. It didn't end up in a title, but it's his most honest one, in that it was a team that somebody else built, put it together, and said, here, try and make this work. But yeah, when he went to the Heat, he went to go play with his friend Dwayne Wade.
Right.
They built a super team together. They brought in a couple other big pieces. They brought in Ray Allen. They brought in Chris Bosh. They brought in pieces that could accent them, and then they won 2 titles with it.
Right.
Yeah. And then he goes to Cleveland and he brings in Kyrie Irving, and he gets David Blatt fired and brings in Ty Lue because he can run the show. There's not a single part of any of these LeBron teams since he left Cleveland the first time isn't orchestrated. So what you're seeing isn't a true build of a team. It's a player who controls the organization.
Yeah, and is that going to be the continuing trend, or is there another player that can do that? First of all, let's just say that. Is there another player? I mean, can James Harden do that? Can he go up and say, "Hey, this is who I want to coach"?
Well, he can put it out there. All these guys can put it out there, but there was clearly collusion between LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Clearly, a player from this team and a player from this team. Anthony Davis started sitting out because he was hurt, and there's clearly something going on, but the NBA declined to investigate. The NBA will not decline to investigate the other stuff. If Russell Westbrook did that, or if James Harden or if Giannis did that, they wouldn't decline to investigate it. They're only going to do that for about one person at a time. Right now, it would be Steph Curry. If Steph Curry was still playing and the Warriors weren't dealing with a bajillion injuries, Kevin Durant might get that same kind of treatment. I think Kevin Durant's a better player especially offensively. I think Kevin Durant would smoke LeBron. The problem is LeBron's got defense on weaker opponents down to a pat. So they're down pat. So I think that no one's going to get that star treatment the way LeBron does. LeBron's going to get it day in and day out, and no one else is going to get it. So no one else can do that.
So this may be LeBron has created, well, 3, I guess, super teams, if you want to call them that. And is he ever going to stop moving? Is he ever just going to stop in one place?
Oh, he's done now. He's done now. This is where it's going to go. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere else. I mean, he's got 3 years left. We're already seeing, this year alone, people can say what they. He is good at getting you to see the moment and forget the body of work. So LeBron James scores 30 in game 2. Ugh, he's tough, but you forget that he's averaging like 19 for the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's good at getting you to do that. I mean, I don't know if that's accurate. I think he's averaging a little more. I think he's averaging like 22, 23. But he's making you forget this other stuff with these big performances. He'll make you forget that he shot 30% in a game because he chased down blocked Iguodala.
Right.
And won a championship off it. He'll make you forget when he's not good because he does one thing good or a couple things good, and the whole body of work is just kind of forgotten. Yeah, no, but I think he's done, though. He's running out of those moments. They're not happening as often anymore. And that's catching up to him. He's not scoring as much. He's not distributing as much. AD's carrying that team. If Anthony Davis wasn't on that team, if you substitute a B-rated center, or power forward, I think is what he technically is, you substitute a B-rated power forward in that position, not the A+ that Anthony Davis is,
right.
That team's already out of the playoffs.
Okay, so Lakers in 4?
Lakers in 4, yeah, that's pretty fair.
You don't think the Heat can win 1?
It doesn't serve them any purpose. They're not going to get any more season ticket sales out of
it. That's true. Okay.
Lakers in 4. I can't tell you how many times I've thought teams have tanked a game just to bring it back home, just because they want their O'Brien, ceremony at home.
Right. Well, that would not surprise me at all. Okay, so let's switch gears then, because the WNBA is in their finals right now. And it seems to be a little. The Seattle Storm, Las Vegas Aces. Seattle won game 1, 93-80, and game 2 is tomorrow night. In a game that really wasn't even very close.
Right.
The Storm seemed to be the best team. Well, I mean, I say that it wasn't close in that Las Vegas actually caught up and tied the game at 67.
Right.
Before Seattle just pulled away. So, I mean, it was a hair close at the end of the third quarter, but Seattle never really looked like they were, in trouble. So, Breanna Stewart is way too good. 37 points in that game.
She counts for a large portion of their points.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, this game. Here's one of the things that's happening is that we have so many things going on right now. NBA Finals, WNBA Finals. We just got done with the NHL Finals, and MLB playoffs, and then the return of college football and NFL football. This is getting overshadowed. Nobody's paying attention to the WNBA.
Absolutely, it was a really fun. It was like a fun cause for people to kind of diverge off into when it was first starting again, and there wasn't much sports going on. But now that there's other stuff happening, you're really finding where people's loyalties lie, and it's not with WNBA.
Right.
In terms of spectatorship, I
think the fan base is fairly well set. I don't think they're going to gain any new fans. I don't think that's going to happen. They have who they have, and I don't think that even if they were exposed and they were the only thing happening, there may be some more. You may get a few more fans, but I don't think you get many. Just because of it's the product. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. Okay, I am saying it's not good basketball. What I'm saying is not that they can't compete, but it's just not the same. You know what I mean? People, I don't think in the United States are ready to watch this basketball, this brand, compared to NBA. If you had a choice, you'd take the NBA in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that they're not good. These are great basketball players. They just play a different brand of basketball, and it is not as compelling for some reason.
I think it's a natural crux of this country to want to compare and contrast things that are even remotely similar. But I think if you view women's basketball as on a plane with men's basketball, yes, it is far inferior. I mean, just so you talk about Breonna Stewart. She had a fantastic day.
Yeah.
All right, 30, I think it was 30, 37 points.
Yeah.
What's it called? Lloyd had 28 points. But you're looking at the rest of the team 4, 6, 2, 0, 11, and 3. That stat line gets you an L in the NBA.
Right.
In terms of points, like no one, you have to have bench players score. You cannot win by yourself. So if you view it on the same plane as the NBA, it'll always seem inferior. It'll always seem worse. It'll always seem like it's not as good. And that's the thing that we do in this country. We like to pit things against each other. I have friends who will not watch college basketball because it's not as good as the NBA. It's like, well, it's different. It's supposed to be different. It's a different type of basketball. WNBA, it's a different type of basketball. Women's basketball is an interesting thing to watch in and of itself, but yeah, as long as you compare it to the NBA, it'll always seem subpar, and you're never going to pull viewership from the NFL. So don't schedule your games on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, or nowadays Tuesdays possibly. So
right, huh?
Yeah, it's a tough go for women's basketball right now.
So all right, so we're gonna switch gears. So let's talk about the Major League Baseball playoffs, which are going on right now. We've reached the divisional round, and the Tampa Bay Rays, and the New York Yankees. That's an American League Division Series, and the Houston Astros, Oakland A's is the other divisional series in the American League. In the National League, Dodgers, Padres, and Marlins, Braves. And the one thing that stands out to me when I look at these things is that the Rays and the Yankees are in the same division. The Dodgers and the Padres are in the same division. The Marlins and the Braves are in the same division. But the Astros and the A's are not. But 3 out of those 4 series are interdivision. Those teams are in the same division competing against each other, and
that's exciting.
That is exciting because they're familiar with each other, and it also will breed that contempt, which can lead to all kinds of interesting results. Let's say, who's the team to beat? I still say it's the Dodgers.
Should I say the Astros just to rile some people up?
Until someone proves me wrong. The Yankees looked really good offensively against Cleveland, and maybe that's a thing. Maybe they found their stride and they're gonna, But
problem is that they look poor defensively.
Yeah, and then San Diego, who took out the Cardinals, came in Game 3. They look good at times, but I don't think they look as complete a team as the Dodgers or the Braves. I think Dodgers and the Braves in the National League, and I would take the Rays and the A's.
The Rays and the A's?
Yeah.
Ooh. I think the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are going to win their series against San Diego. I think you're right. There's no way to count them out until they don't do it. Right. I think that Miami beats Atlanta. I'm just not sold on Atlanta. I think that Tampa Bay beats the Yankees, and I think that Houston beats the A's.
Yeah,
I don't want it, but I think it's going to happen.
So your interesting statistic of this is that the Marlins have never lost a postseason series, and
right.
I mean, shoot, that means they're the odds-on favorite to win, right? So
should be.
That's not happening, but they should be.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it.
And again, I haven't watched enough of it to really get into it because the minute they started, they started having COVID problems, and they started postponing games, and they lost me. And it was the arguments about the money to begin with, all that stuff kind of made it hard for me to just tune in and watch a baseball game, right? And so now we're in the playoffs, and I'm like, okay, great, but I'd rather watch NFL football, and I'd rather watch the NBA finals, and I'd rather watch a lot of other things than a 4-hour playoff baseball game. So
yeah, I think the problem is that you run into scheduling time. I mean, so the Monday, the Astros play the Athletics at 1:00. Yeah, I'm gonna be at work.
They're doing a lot of that too. There's daytime games. There's a lot of those.
Don't like it. And then the Yankees play the Rays at 5, but I get off work at 5, so I'm not going to be available to sit down and start watching stuff until 6. And guess what? There's Monday Night Football on. Probably going to watch that instead. So there's a lot of that where it's like, well, there's baseball on. I can either commit to 4 hours of of yawning, or I
Right.
can watch football, maybe see a couple injuries and a couple touchdowns.
Yeah. So quick update: Alabama leads Texas A&M 35-14 at the half.
That's how Alabama does it.
That's how
Let
Alabama.
it stay close for a little too long, and then just poof.
Yeah. So I think once again you're talking about part of the problem is we'll talk about it later, but the ranking of the teams right now is ridiculous because you have teams that are ranked that probably shouldn't be, and or ranked way too high because there's not enough teams. So
Right.
anytime that um, Alabama is playing an SEC team, they're probably ranked. So yeah,
Well, and you're running out of valid spots. So what's going to happen is somebody's going to lose, like Texas lost, and you're
yep,
going to be like, well, who do we slide up and who goes in?
right,
And eventually you're going to be putting teams that you wouldn't normal. Army's going to be in there, or
right.
Marshall's going to be in there. You're going to be like, well, I guess they're good.
Good enough.
Good
Um,
enough.
as a side note, and I missed it during the MLB part, but former St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Bob Gibson passed away on Friday at the age of 84 after a bout with cancer. Um, Bob Gibson was probably one of the most dominant pitchers um, that you when you look at his numbers, you go, okay, you know what I mean. But he had 1968. He started 30 at the age of 32. He started 34 games for the St. Louis Cardinals. He was 22-9 with an ERA of 1.12. He threw 13 shutouts and 28 complete games. Of the 34 games he started, he finished 28 of them, right? So
Yeah.
304 innings pitched, 268 strikeouts to 62 walks, which is unheard of. That's like a 4-to-1 ratio. Um, he was dominant, winning the American League Cy Young and the MVP award in '68. So yeah. Anyway, one of the most 68 from 67 through 70 or 71, he was probably the most dominant pitcher in baseball. So anyway, um, condolences to the Gibson family and to the Cardinals organization, but a legend, Hall of Famer, passing away. So let's move along. The Timbers were supposed to play
Timbers.
tonight. Colorado Rapids Portland Timbers was supposed to play tonight, but it has been postponed after the Rapids confirmed that two more of their players, there's now a total of, I don't know, 8 or 9, I can't remember exactly how many there are. Two more of their players have tested positive, and a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. So that's getting postponed. They were supposed to play tonight in Providence Park. Um, they will make it up at some point, according to the league. But this has been going on since September 24th, and so that's now, 9 days that the first Colorado Rapids player was positive. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But there's going to be some. That's the first positive test since before the
Bubble.
bubble. Yeah, before their tournament. So um, I think they've done a very good job of limiting it. But again, once you got outside the bubble, you start have teams traveling around. That's kind of what happens. That's kind of what we've seen. And we'll talk about NFL because that's the same thing's happening in the NFL right now. But the Timbers currently tied for first place in the Western Conference with the Seattle Sounders, both with 24 points. And they are supposed to play. I had this written down. They're supposed to play. Um, Again, they're supposed to play tonight, but I think they play on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Wednesday, October 7th, they play the Galaxy in LA. That's their next game, next scheduled game. So we'll see how it plays out. They're nearing the end of their season. They actually don't have that much left to go. Right now would be the time they would be winding down and going to playoffs normally in a normal year. So, but again, it's all shortened. It's all crazy. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. So stay tuned. We'll talk about the Timbers more.
They've
Um,
definitely picked it up.
yeah. So they're unbeaten in their last four. They were 3-0-1, 3 wins and a tie. So they're definitely playing well. So
a lot better than they were to start.
Oh yeah. After they they win that tournament and they come back home and they lose like 2 out of 3 and they're winless in 3 games, and since then they've kind of turned the corner and
Yep.
look like a real soccer team. So. All right, so second half of our show is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Go to bosskittyshop.com for your yarns, notions, and Boss Kitty merchandise. Or you can pick up a bosskittyshop.com gift card. Use the code Wear Your Mask at checkout and receive free U.S. domestic shipping on orders of $50 or more. Tune in to bosskittylive.com at 6 every Monday and Wednesday and at 11 a.m. every other Sunday. They play games. They'll make a project. They do giveaways, all kinds of stuff. I promise you'll have fun. If you know someone who's a knitter, crafter, somebody who would enjoy it, pass that along. But it's bosskittyshop.com or bosskittylive.com. Boss Kitty, yarn so boss, you'll make your pants. So, second half of the show, let's get a quick NCAA football update, shall we?
Quick NCAA football update.
A quick NCAA football update. So, here's your top 25 scores currently in progress. Alabama, number 2, Alabama, 35-14 over Texas A&M at the half. Number 3, Florida beat South Carolina 38-24. Hold on just a second. I got a little technical malfunction. The world's not working for me. All right, here it comes. Earlier today, so let's see. Right now, these are games in action right now. So North Carolina leads Boston College 14-13. Number 12, North Carolina leads Boston College 14-13. Second quarter, 6:48 to go. Number 15, Cincinnati leads South Florida 14-0 with 14:11 to go in the third. Number 17, Oklahoma State is beating Kansas 24-0 with about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. Number 25, Memphis is trailing SMU 24-10 with 7:16 to go in the second. Earlier, Florida beat South Carolina 38-24. That's number 3, Florida. Number 9, Texas was the upset of the day, losing to TCU 33-31. I watched most of that game. Did you watch it?
I watched most of the back half of it.
Yeah, and
got to hold on to the football, bud.
You got to hold, especially down near the goal line. That was a big deal.
I love to say you got to take it with you. Got to take it with you, man.
Max Duggan, the quarterback for TCU, looked really, really good. I mean,
he ripped off that big run for a touchdown. Yeah. It was really nice.
He had 17 carries for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw for another 231 yards. He did not have a touchdown throwing, but TCU looked like the better football team. And that this is coming on the heels of Texas struggling to beat Texas Tech last week. So I again, and immediately after, if you want to hear something funny, on the ESPN shows the ESPN Texas is back meter, and it's a flat 0. It was a flat 0. They are not back. So
at least ESPN's having fun.
If you wondered if Texas was back, they are not back. And they do this every year. It looks like they win a game or 2 games, and then boom, they just go down. And TCU has been their Achilles heel, right?
Yeah, TCU's been pretty good against them. Yeah,
TCU is, yeah. I mean,
every year they give them fits. I mean, even then they always seem to beat Oklahoma. It seems they always seem to kind of handle Oklahoma State, or at least if they play them in the what's it called in their playoff game, they always or not playoff game in their conference championship game, they always kind of split with them. But yeah, TCU and Texas Tech are the 2 teams that come there and give them fits.
So number 9, Texas goes down. It's the 3rd top 10 team in 2 weeks to go down. Number 21, Tennessee, 35-12 over Missouri at home. Tennessee's 2-0. Let's break up the Vols.
Go Vols.
Right. And then number 24, Pittsburgh lost to NC State today, 30-29. That not so much of an upset. NC State's 2-1. Pittsburgh's 3-1. Coming up tonight, later game. So at 4:30 Pacific, Auburn plays at Georgia. That's number 7, Auburn. Number 4, Georgia. That's the big game of the day. Also at 4:30, Tulsa plays at number 11, Central Florida. Arkansas plays at number 16, Mississippi State. And can we just for a minute say that KJ Costello is the Heisman favorite?
We can mention it. I wouldn't say I
He
wouldn't
has
say. I mean, okay, he's got 623 yards and 5
right.
touchdowns. Cool.
His numbers are Heisman worthy right now.
I do not want to hear the words SEC defense this
No,
year.
right.
You've got this Florida guy slinging for 400 yards a game. KJ Costello's
Right.
roasting the defending champs for 600 yards. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that you have good defense in your conference. It's trash defense.
I think that what we've been seeing for way too long was mediocre offense in the SEC, too.
And
You
they
know what
got
I
some
mean?
offensive pieces now.
And makes the defense look awesome. And so now you're up against the air raid offense, and clearly LSU couldn't stop it. Now LSU is a little depleted,
should have success.
right? LSU is a little depleted in that they lost like 100 players to the draft, but I we'll see. We'll know more about LSU as we go. I don't see them on my list of games. Oh, they play at Vanderbilt later today, so there's a breather for them. Also today, number 18 Oklahoma is trying to rebound from their loss. They play at Iowa State. That's not a gimme for them. That's been a struggle place for them. And number 1 Clemson at 5:00 p.m. tonight plays Virginia. Both teams 1-0, or Clemson's 2-0, Virginia's 1-0. So Trevor Lawrence would probably still be the Heisman favorite. I was going to tell you that because he threw for 519 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, but yeah, no, right. And Friday night, number 22 BYU beat Louisiana Tech 45-14 in a game that was tied at 7-7. I was watching that game and yeah, I was hoping that it was going to be a good game, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So
it was until it wasn't.
It was until it wasn't. So that's what's going on in college football right now, and it there's other games, but it's not to me right now. I mean, you tell me what you think, but I don't feel that excited about it still.
About college football?
Yeah, just in general. I don't feel like it's going to be right until all the teams are playing.
I think that that's true. I mean, I don't think right is a thing that I've become really really okay with shucking off this year. I don't need it to feel right. I need it to feel good enough, and it feels good enough.
Good enough. Okay.
I'm watching college football again, which is fun. I got up this morning. I watched the Tennessee game. It was pretty cool to actually sit down and watch college football. I still hate watching things on Pacific Coast time. I hate 9 a.m. kickoffs for football. It's garbage. But I would rather stay up till like 2 a.m. watching football than be up at 9 a.m. watching football. But no, it feels fine to me. I don't see a problem with it. Yeah, you're still missing some stuff. Those big interdivisional matchups are the big exciting piece that you're missing. Yeah. Even when all the conferences are here and playing, it's still not going to feel right because you're not going to get that Oregon Ohio State game. You're not going to get that Alabama Michigan game. You're not going to get those games. Right. So I think that's the part that makes it feel weird is that now your debates are going to be even more confined to, well, our conference is better. It's like, well, you only played yourself. How would you know?
Well, I think next week will go a long ways to determining how I feel about college football. And so next week, just to preview that, number 3 Florida at number 13 Texas A&M, number 21 Tennessee at number 4 Georgia, number 9 Texas at number 18 Oklahoma, and then number 8 Miami at number 1 Clemson. I think
sounds nice.
That feels like a better week of what's going on. You know what I mean?
I don't understand how Texas A&M keeps getting ranked. Well, every single year since Johnny Manziel was there, it's like, hey, A&M, let's throw them in at 6 or 7. Yeah, they're a good team. And then they just get smoked on out of the polls as the season goes on. Every year.
It's true.
I will never understand. But I mean, let me rephrase that. I understand entirely. It's so that way people will tune in and watch because Alabama versus unranked Texas A&M looks very unappealing.
It does.
But against number 13, hey.
Right, yeah, and I think that's, well, like I said, that's part of the problem with the rankings and the whole thing right now is you've got way too many teams being ranked because there aren't enough teams to rank. So, I mean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel when Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns are number 20 or number 15 now because they won again. I don't know, whatever they're going to be this next time.
Don't be talking no guff about the Raging Cajuns.
I'm just saying, I feel like there's not enough teams. So, that being said, the Pac-12 is coming back, right?
Pac-12 back.
Pac-12 just released their schedule, the 2020 football schedule, and I I'm looking at it right now. So if you're an Oregon Duck fan, Oregon starts with Stanford and at home. And Oregon, by the way, is the only ranked team in the AP poll from the Pac-12 at number 14. And they went down a little
Woo.
bit. They would have been ranked a little higher, but they've had some opt-outs. So they've kind of downgraded Oregon as a serious contender. But anyway, they play Stanford at home November 7th. They play at Washington State November 14th. They play on back-to-back Friday nights, which I've never seen before. But against UCLA at home on the 20th of November, and then at Oregon State on the 27th. That would be the day after Thanksgiving, which is normally when they play anyway.
Right.
And then they would play Saturday, December 5th at Cal. And then the last game of the season, the 6 games, let's say, that they're guaranteed. Well, they're guaranteed 7, but we only know 6 of them, right? The 6th,
right.
The other game is against Washington. Washington plays at Oregon Saturday, December 12th, which would probably be a de facto North championship game at that point, I would imagine. We'll see. We'll see how
you would think.
Yeah, we'll see how the season progresses. And then the next week, which is Friday, December 18th, the Pac-12 championship game is the 18th because on the 19th, the committee's going to select the playoff teams. So they're trying to sneak that in on Friday, get the championship game in, and then on Saturday, the rest of the teams in the Pac-12 that aren't in the championship game are going to play another game. But we don't know who they're playing. So everyone is playing on that weekend, championship weekend. But 2 of them will be in the championship game. It's kind of weird. So
that's a little strange.
I don't know how to do that. That's how they're getting 7 games for every team. 6 games.
Yeah, I remember when they initially said it, and then they just released the 6 teams, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, 6 teams, and then a championship game, and then everyone else plays who isn't in the championship game. Another game that is yet to be determined who they're going to play.
Right.
Yeah, I find it weird that Oregon plays on back-to-back Fridays. I've never seen a team play. Well, I guess that's UCLA does the same thing here on this schedule. Wow, Washington State does too.
Yeah.
Well, they just made the North play a back-to-back games on Fridays. Nobody else. All right.
Just the North. Everyone else.
It's literally Oregon, Washington State, and Washington. Wait, Oregon, UCLA. I'm sorry, UCLA is in the South. There we go. Okay, so it's Oregon, UCLA, and Washington State. They play back-to-back Fridays. That's weird. It's just a weird schedule. I don't know.
I'm going to be honest with you. As long as the game starts at a decent time, I'm not going to mind this. But I swear to God, if this stuff starts at 1 o'clock on a Friday, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be writing angry letters. I'm going to be writing angry letters to get this guy fired.
Right.
To get the whatever his name is. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the conference. Larry Scott. Oh, what a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke. Just get it together, man.
It'll be okay. So there's that. I still think that Oregon has a really, really good football team. It will. We got to see whether they developed Tyler Shook into a quarterback.
Apparently, all the buzz is that he's worth it.
We saw a very small sample size last year,
right,
of him, so we really don't know. But it would be nice to think that he can step in and become another good Oregon quarterback. That'd be great. They have all the other parts and pieces offensively, other than the offensive line. Obviously, they're missing all 5 starters from last year are gone. Because
but apparently they got enough rotation, so they should be fine.
And that's one of the things that Oregon has been really good about is that they've played a lot of people. There's a lot of people with experience, whether they're starters or not. You still get a lot of snaps. So I think that's a big deal. Anyway. You got any comments about?
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll say I think another big deal is that they have a lot of opt-outs. Javon Holland, DeAndre Lenore, Thomas Graham, they've all opted out.
Their whole defensive secondary.
Yeah, a lot of really great players. They still have a lot of great players there, but a lot of really great players that are no longer going to be there. Some of them can still opt back in. We'll find out, but
At the same time, ESPN has upgraded Oregon's recruiting class for next year to number 3. So, the number 3 recruiting class.
We were nothing, and now we're number 3.
What's that?
We're nothing, and now we're number 3.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they're, recruiting classes are, who knows? You don't know what you're going to get, so that's really hard to say. But that's where we're at. So it's going to be exciting to watch. The Big Ten's coming back. And then, of course, you know that Allegiant Stadium there, the Death Star in Las Vegas. That's where they're going to have the Pac-12 championship games from 2021 forward.
Really? That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, and you know they play the basketball championship in Las Vegas, so they're going to play the football one there too.
Yeah, I
MGM
knew that they did
Resorts.
that. I did.
Yeah, MGM Resorts is sponsoring it, and that's where they play the Pac-12 basketball tournament. Is at the MGM Grand. They have their own their own basketball court.
I
But
think
anyway,
it's the T-Mobile Arena.
right, that's it. Anyway, so it's going to be exciting. Every football game through the first 6 weeks of the season will be televised nationally for the Pac-12 by a combination of ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, Fox, and Fox Sports 1. Fox will have
Wait, they're not putting anything on the Pac-12 networks?
It says that every football game through the first 6 weeks will be televised nationally by those broadcast
Hell
networks.
yes, that's what I'm talking about. Because
And
I don't
that
have Pac-12 now. I'm stressed about it.
you'll be well, and I don't know what does that say for the revenue of the Pac-12 network? Nothing. They're gonna get none. But
Yeah, they're dissolving.
yeah, Fox will have the championship game on Friday, December 18th, so you'll be able to watch that on broadcast TV. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know, and I feel like we're so far from where football was last year at the end of the season that I don't know who's going to do well now this year. You know, I, things have changed so much, and people have opted out, and people. I just don't know who the team is to beat in the Pac-12. Clearly, everyone thinks it's Oregon. If you lost,
I think the upset are the issues. Yeah, I
yeah,
think those guys are going to be problems.
that's a big deal. Those are big losses when you lose your. Those are three starting. Lenore and Holland and
Graham. Yeah.
yeah, Graham. Those are gigantic losses in the defensive second. So we'll see. We'll see how they can fill them. Maybe they got somebody. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, so Broncos. Let's talk about the Broncos. Can we talk about the
Let's
Denver Broncos
please.
for just a minute? Um, the Denver Broncos played on Thursday night against the New York Jets and found their way to get their first win, 37-28, in a game that was it was interesting to watch. I guess let's put it that way. Not certain I would call it a great football game. Um, the Broncos kind of felt like they were in control the whole way until they weren't. Right? The Jets. The
Yeah,
Jets.
that's classic Broncos.
The Jets score 13 points in the fourth quarter to take a 28-27 lead, and then the Broncos came back and said, "Oh no, we're better than you."
Yeah.
So, is either team any good?
Well, I said this the other night when we were chit chatting that the Broncos are somewhere between the Titans and the Jets. So that still puts them bottom third of the league, but that's where they're between this and that. So I think of the two, without being biased, I think the Broncos are okay. I
Yeah.
don't think they're good. I don't think the Jets are good though. I think the Jets are pretty
Right.
bad. I don't think that's as a Bronco fan, you're happy to get a win, but you're also like, it was the Jets.
Right.
So as the Jets fan, you'd be super happy with a win. There'd be no qualifiers.
Right. Interesting.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I the game. Let's talk, Sam Darnold was injured. He got a shoulder injury in the game. Let's talk about Sam Darnold for a minute because we can. The man is throwing 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 792 yards in 3 games for the Jets, and he just doesn't look capable. 4 games, I'm sorry, for the Jets. He doesn't look capable of running that offense. His completion percentage is not terrible. I mean, okay, it's 55%. It's not hideous, but his average, his passing, his yards per attempt is so low. They have no deep threat. They can't go deep.
Right.
His longest passes are, 30 yards in a game. So with no deep threat, they just can't seem to get going anywhere. And then they clearly don't have the ability to stop anybody. They've given up 27, 31, 36, and 37 points. So what is that? About 33 points a game average.
Sounds right.
You're not going to win any games that way. But
no, they're tanking for Trevor.
But yeah, but I mean, Sam Darnold wouldn't be.
No, so well, Sam Darnold doesn't have. See, I don't think. I think that's why I think tanking isn't on players. I think tanking's on coaching staffs. I'm going to call a play that isn't good. It's a bad play. I know it's a bad play. I'm going to run the ball on 3rd and 14.
Don't you think
I'm going
that?
to call a play that's bad. I think it's a little obvious.
Don't you think that Sam Darnold, knowing that hey, this my job is done if we're terrible. I mean, they're going to draft number 1 pick and they're going to
Oh, yeah, they're
draft,
going to
Trevor
Trevor
and
Lawrence, me. Yep.
right. So he's out
I,
if they play bad.
yeah, why would he be complicit with it? Well,
Right.
because he's listening to his coaching staff because his next job depends on how well he's willing to listen in his current job.
You think so?
Maybe. Or also they could be tanking for an offensive lineman. Panay Sewell is going to be available, so
that's true.
maybe you're going to go get him.
I
You're going to pick up a left tackle, somebody to protect him. The Jets are just a train wreck. No one knows what they're thinking. And maybe they're trying. Right. And just aren't good enough.
It could be. His injury was specified as an AC joint sprain. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. It might take him some time to heal. I'm not sure who's their backup quarterback that's healthy right now. Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. He came in through a few passes against his old team.
Is Joe Flacco the backup quarterback? How far did you fall from being Super Bowl winner to backup quarterback to Sam Darnold?
Well, I'll tell you how far you fall. You fall far enough to make a comfortable $10 million a year.
That's true, and all you have to do is
and not have to do any work.
Pretty much hold a clipboard the whole time. That's true.
Dude's got a school ring and doesn't have to do anything.
it is the sweetest gig in football, that backup quarterback gig. They also have James Morgan, by the way, on the roster. James Morgan from rookie from Florida International. And
yeah,
I don't know that he's any kind of anything because I've never seen him play a down. So, 4th round pick.
Well, Florida International had a pretty big, well, they score a lot was kind of their thing, but
yeah,
he's not the future. I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like that's a no. So all right, so clearly both those teams. I mean, obviously the Jets. I would tell you right now, the Jets are the worst team in football. Yes, and probably the worst franchise in football continuously
for the last 3 or 4 years. Jets are the Knicks of football.
And what is wrong with the New York teams? Why are they so bad?
The Giants have been pretty bad too.
Right, and I mean not just but I mean like
the Nets have been pretty bad.
You're talking about the Knicks. You're talking about the Nets. You're talking about the Giants. You're talking about the Jets. You're talking about the Mets. You're talking about everybody but the Yankees and the Rangers and the Islanders. But
all right, so we really just kind of split it. So it's about 50-50 on the New York team, and the Nets have been getting better. They've done better the last 3 years.
It'll be interesting to watch them too. It'll be interesting to watch because they're looking at new coaching, and I don't. The word on the street is that they're going to coach. We're off topic now already, but the word on the street is that they're going to coach kind of by committee.
That Nets, sounds right.
Because you got Kevin Durant, and you got people that are experienced. They're not going to listen to a coach anyway. So
I don't know. I don't take Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as kind of people who don't listen to coach. Not like LeBron. I think if you call a play and LeBron's like, no, I don't like it. The play's not going to get ran. I don't take Kevin Durant that way. I see Kevin Durant arguing with it, but I don't see him just overriding it.
I see different. Well, so what I see is that you've got 3 different people that play in the NBA. You've got those that say, Coach said do this, we're doing it. You've got Coach said do this, we're not doing it. And then you've got LeBron James. Coach said we're doing this. I'm going to tell him he's a piece of shit. We're not doing this. Right? That's the 3rd level.
I'm going to get Dave Platt fired.
Right. I'm going to get him fired so I can do what I want. Right. That's
right. It's like Ty Lue just stand there and look incredulous anytime they call a foul on me.
Kevin Durant's on that 2nd level. LeBron's on that 3rd level. So it's different. You're right. It's different. I picture Kevin Durant as the non-compliant but silent person. He's not going to say anything about it. He's just not going to do it.
He's just not going to do it.
Right. Anyway.
Okay. I get that.
I don't know anything. But we're still talking about NFL. So what's coming up this weekend? Let's talk about this weekend. and the NFL schedule for Week 4. What's remaining? Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Two bad teams. It's the mustache against Burrow. We'll see who can get a win. That will be interesting to
Right.
see.
I think I picked Jacksonville to win, but I think Burrow's gonna get his first win.
That will be an interesting game. I still don't think Cincinnati's good. I don't think even with Joe Burrow, I think that they're missing a lot of parts and pieces. And everybody was saying, "Oh well, AJ Green just needed a quarterback to throw them the ball." Well, it's more than that. There's more missing.
I mean, he's got a quarterback now, and they're still not winning. So,
right. Cleveland plays at Dallas. It's also an early game. Cleveland is 2-1, and Dallas is 1-2. So break up the Browns. I mean, they could be headed for
weird times.
Yeah, it could be. The Saints, the 1-2 New Orleans Saints. Would we be saying that normally against the Detroit Lions?
I think New Orleans has just gotten a little bit of a bad beat right now. I think that they're capitalizing on some things, and it just kind of sucks. They got a ton of injuries going into this weekend,
and that has been the biggest thing in the NFL right now. Maran is just the sheer number of
loads of injuries.
Yeah, that's causing. It's affecting the play. It's affecting the way the season is going.
Yeah, it's affecting the quality of football that we're getting to watch, and it's affecting the teams individually.
Right, and Denver would be much better. Not great, but they would be much better if everyone was healthy, and so would New Orleans too. But I think Michael Thomas.
You have Von Miller, you change your scheme a little bit.
Right, I think Michael Thomas is coming back for New Orleans this week.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think he practiced this week, so I think there's a chance that they can go into Detroit and sneak out a win. Seattle, who probably looks like the best team in football offensively, is playing at Miami, who I don't think could. They looked good on Thursday night against Jacksonville, but I think everyone looks good against Jacksonville.
Right.
So Seattle's probably going to crush Miami. That's just a guess. I don't know. What do I know? And then the Chargers and Justin Herbert are playing at Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. So Herbert gets to go in from Patrick Mahomes to who did they play last week? To Tom Brady.
Oh my gosh, he keeps getting these people. He can't catch a break. He's got to play these tough quarterbacks for a while. I mean, last week they played Bridgewater, but still,
That's true. Yeah.
Good news is though he gets Brady, then Breeze, and then he gets Darnold. Then there's the break.
Well, Darnold, there you go. There's the break. Yeah.
The question is,
but it won't be
Darnold. Will be starting with the Dolphins by the 25th.
It won't even be Darnold, by the way. It'll be Flacco probably by that point.
It'll be Flacco.
He'll be playing as former Super Bowl MVP.
The question is, will Tua be starting with the Dolphins when they play?
I don't know. That's a great question.
That's the most important thing. Because a couple years ago you got Mariota versus Winston. You got that matchup. Are you going to get Herbie versus Tua?
Right, and I think that was wasn't that week 1? Mariota and
week 2.
Week 2 was it? Okay. There you go.
It was week 2.
So also in the morning games, Baltimore plays at Washington. I don't have confidence in Washington at all. I don't think Baltimore. They look terrible against Kansas City. But that's just what Kansas City kind of does to you. So I'll still take it.
Right. I think that anybody looks terrible against Kansas City, right?
So far, except the Chargers. Didn't look that bad. They were in that game, went to overtime.
Yeah, sure. It's because they didn't have a game plan for Justin Herbert. They didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, Herbert didn't know he was supposed to be afraid of him. So
I still don't think he knows.
The Cardinals play at Carolina. I still think Arizona's going to be the surprise team in the NFC. They're going to make it to the playoffs, I think. Kyler Murray's just really good. Running and throwing and all that stuff that he does that everybody else does that now. That's the wave of the future. But I think he's got a different quickness to him than Patrick Mahomes is smart. He's a smart quarterback. I don't consider him to be super fast. He's fast enough.
Fast enough.
He's not Lamar Jackson fast, right?
No.
And Lamar Jackson is not Kyler Murray quick. So Kyler Murray,
right? You're breaking it down from fast to quick and agile. I think is a good way.
Correct. I think Kyler Murray has that ability to change direction and make you miss or create space for himself to make a throw. Lamar Jackson does kind of the same thing, but he outruns you to it. the space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, he's straight. He's at that straight line speed.
Right, straight line speed. Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what
Kyler Murray has 187 yards on 26 attempts. He's their leading average rusher.
right.
So he leads them in rushing touchdowns. So
Yeah,
yeah, he's definitely got a gear that is helpful. The problem is when you start playing defensive ends who are all
who are
pros.
fast? Yeah, it's true.
Are they going to stop you? Because if they can stop you, man, that element of his game is gone. Are the Cardinals still like a contender? I don't think so.
So another battle of winless teams: the Minnesota Vikings at 0-3 play at the Houston Texans at 0-3. Which one of those two teams is the better 0-3 team?
I think Houston, top to down, is the better 0-3 team. I don't think they've got it together. I don't know how Bill O'Brien has a job. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like he hasn't been fantastic anywhere he's been.
Right.
He didn't want to draft Sean. He that was a GM decision apparently that
Yeah.
overrode him. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that team has bit more talent top to bottom than Minnesota does. I do think Justin Jefferson's a pretty big name coming up right now, but I'm also not entirely sold that Minnesota's going to impress anybody at any point. They're operating with Kirk Cousins, who again, it's Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
He was the butt of our jokes within a year or two ago. So like,
yeah.
how are we all of a sudden thinking he's all of a sudden elite? I don't know when that happened.
You know what? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I think the fact that Dalvin Cook is a great running back has helped him become a better quarterback, and it always will if you have a good running back behind you who can take the pressure off of you. But Kirk Cousins is left Washington, I guess, in disgrace, if you want to call it that. He was not good there, and I don't know. I feel like he's found a home, and that's because the team overall is much better than the Washington Redskins. Oh, sorry, not
Yeah, they're
Redskins.
helping him out quite a
The
bit.
Washington football team. What are we going to call them?
That's right.
We still need
the
a name.
WFT.
Right, whatever it is. All right, so in other action, the Giants are going to travel to the Los Angeles Rams and lose another game. The
Yeah, probably.
Colts are going to Chicago. The surprising Chicago Bears that are 3-0. Nick Foles will be, I think, the starter.
Good old Nicky Dimes.
We'll see what happens. As a starter, he's not as good nearly as he is a backup. So we'll see what happens.
Unless it's in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But then he's fantastic.
The undefeated Buffalo Bills are going to play at the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Buffalo is really good. I think Josh Allen has really played a lot better than I thought he would this year, and I think they are probably
they're turning heads.
Yeah, 2 or 3 notches better than I thought they were at the beginning of the season. I was going to give them the AFC East. It makes
that division look that much more competitive.
Right, and I was going to give them the AFC East to begin with because the fact that Tom Brady was gone, but Cam Newton, which we're going to talk about in a minute, was better. He's been playing very well. So I still think there's some hurdles to overcome, but I think Buffalo is probably the best team in the AFC East right now. We'll see.
I agree.
Philadelphia is in shambles. They're playing at San Francisco, who is has half a team as well. That will be interesting to watch if Philadelphia is still winless.
Philadelphia is weird. They had Washington. Washington made a couple late moves, took that game. They got smoked by the Rams, so you didn't really ever feel like that was going. And then they tied the Bengals. I think my jury's still out on them. They have plenty of talent. Although Peters just went on the IR, right. So and Brandon Brooks is out. So I still think my jury's out on them though because I think they could be a team that still wins 10 games.
Yeah, and that's definitely a possibility. They're not a bad team, and they're in a great division. That division is good for them because the division sucks. The Giants, the Giants, the Cowboys are 1-2. The Giants are 0-3. The Washington football team is 1-2. It's not a good division. So anybody could still win that. I mean, I think that division winner probably might be 8-8 this year. which is
that sounds about right. I feel like that's consistent.
Which is kind of how they have been. I mean, they were 9-7 last year, right? When Philly won it, I think they were 9-7. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I still think San Francisco is the better football team, and will probably beat Philadelphia, and then they'll be 0-3-1, and who knows what happens at that point. Which brings us to the Sunday night game, New England at Kansas City. Except it isn't going to be Sunday night because Cam Newton has tested positive for coronavirus. And so now that game has been postponed already.
They're shifting it. They're saying it could go to Tuesday night. I don't need that. I have Patrick Mahomes as my starting QB in my fantasy. I need you to tell me if it's canceled.
Right. It would be nice if we knew, what the hell's going on ahead of time. But
right,
I think this is going to expand. I think it's going to keep getting worse. I think that's what's going to happen. And this was just like Major League Baseball, except I feel like it's already worse than Major League Baseball in that we've had not just the Titans issue. Now we've got two teams already, and they're in different places and didn't play each other yet. So This is two separate outbreaks, if you want to call it that. NFL's in a weird situation in that they have the one bye week that makes it so you could reschedule a game. After that, if there were to be two games that had to be rescheduled, you'd have to move the playoffs back a week. You'd have to take away that one extra week between the Super Bowl and the conference championship. You'd have to take a week away and throw in an extra week.
Or you slide back the Super Bowl.
You could do that, except that they've probably already printed the tickets and sold all the hotel rooms.
Oh, there's probably not going to be fans to it anyways.
I would be surprised if there wasn't. I'll bet they're planning on it because they were planning
on. Think so?
I'm guaranteed that the NFL was planning on this season starting out with no fans and becoming, we'll have full stadiums by the end of the year. It'll all be gone. And now they're realizing this is not.
I guess it's in Florida too. They don't give a crap about people's health.
Well, yeah, if you're in Florida, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah, they don't have any issues in Florida. You can do whatever you want to do in Florida. They've opened everything up. Bars, no restrictions. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to social distance. You don't have to do anything. Any size gathering is okay now. I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if that changes after the president's diagnosis, but I got a feeling that they're just going to continue on and let people get sick, and it's okay. Anyway, that's my political stance, but that's fine. So that game's been postponed till we don't know when for sure. Yes, it could be played Tuesday night, but that's the same thing they said about the Titans Steelers, right? That it could be postponed and we could play Monday or Tuesday, but they just flat out moved it to week 7. So I feel like we're not going to see that game, the Chiefs Patriots game, until later in the season, and they'll reschedule.
I would be surprised if it went on.
Right. And then the Monday night game is Atlanta at Green Bay. And so what will happen is Atlanta will be up 21-0 before Green Bay decides to beat them in the fourth quarter, because Atlanta cannot win a football game, no matter how far they're ahead. They have lost the first 3 games by a total of 8 points. And to the Seahawks, Cowboys, and Bears. And in different fashion. One was an onside kick. One was a last-second field goal. One was there's just they just have not been good, Atlanta.
If they figure it out, they'll be one of the more dangerous teams.
On the plus side, the food prices at the stadium
are locked in. That's right. $3 hot dogs.
If you can get in. So, and did you see?
Yeah, right now that's hard to do.
And did you see, by the way, in Cleveland, they had to escort a couple of fans out. They jumped the fence and got into the stadium, and they arrested them, took them out.
It's the funniest thing to think that you get into the stadium somehow. Which, by the way, I've been shocked at how easy NFL stadiums are to get into. So when I was traveling the country last year with football, when we stopped at Denver, we were able to just kind of walk in and walk into the stands and then get onto the field. It was like, this is weird.
I don't think they anticipate that being a thing. I don't think that they anticipate people are just going to try and walk in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess not, because they don't lock up properly. So
Right.
these people, they're it said they hopped a fence. No, there was a fence unlocked.
Well,
There was a gate unlocked, and they just were like, "Should we go in?" Like, yeah,
you
sure.
know how they got in. Baker Mayfield wasn't at home, so that's
Those commercials are fantastic.
yeah. The one
I'll
with the
start at the top. You start at the bottom.
right. The one with the rain. That's the best one. That's the best.
Don't just
The furniture's gonna get wet. Furniture. What do you mean stands? Anyway,
stands.
yeah, and the book club one is pretty good.
He has to get what he has to get the girl the Diet Coke. He walks across to the concession
Yeah,
stand,
he's gonna watch
gets the Coke, comes
the song.
back. They want a diet.
Right. The the smoke alarm one, because that's like every house ever, right?
Or you're
Beeping
walking
and
around looking to see which smoke alarm is going
beeping
off.
in the hallway. You got to stand between two of them and listen. And see, yeah, that happens to me. Anyway, I I love those commercials. I think those commercials are fantastic. I don't like Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, but I think that he does
I'm still hit
fantastic
and
in
miss
those
on him.
commercials. So I gotta give him some credit.
What
So
I like, I don't like guys who come out of college and they got a lot of hype and a lot of what kids today would call swagger. What I call being a douchebag. They come out with it. He gets a starting QB position. I want to see him get humbled, which I feel like Baker's been effectively humbled. I mean, he's fighting for his job this season, so
yeah.
it's really interesting.
All right.
Uh,
So I feel like let's get a quick NCAA football update. Alabama, number 2 Alabama leads Texas A&M 42-17 with 7:24 to go in the third quarter. Texas A&M has the football on Alabama half of the field at the moment. That's the game I'm watching live on TV right now, and it's
Sweet.
all Alabama. Number 12 North Carolina
When
leads.
is it not wild?
Right. Number 12, North Carolina leads Boston College 24-16. That is also about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Number 15, Cincinnati 28-7 over South Florida, just starting the fourth quarter. And in a squeaker, Oklahoma State, number 17, Oklahoma State 44-0 over Kansas. That is just starting the fourth quarter. Memphis and SMU are tied at 27 with 3 minutes to go in the third. So if you want to watch a game, that's the game to probably tune into. It's on ESPN2. That's probably going to give you some good football. And then we already, again, the late game started about 4:30 p.m. That's Auburn, Georgia, Tulsa, Central Florida, Arkansas at Mississippi State, Oklahoma at Iowa State, LSU at Vanderbilt, and Virginia at Clemson. So that's what's going on right now in the top 25. There are other football games in progress, but none that really, really matter at the moment. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Alabama looks really, really good in 2 games. And again, like you said, Texas A&M is overrated. And so, how does Jimbo Fisher always manage to have a team that's in the top 15, and they're never any good? I mean, they're never really any good. But it could have
I
been
feel like
Florida State.
that's pretty consistent with him.
Florida State, their teams were. I mean, Florida State team was oh, this is the number 2 team in the country or the number whatever team in the country, and then Oregon just hammers them in a bowl game like they're nothing, right? And after you had time to prepare, anyway, it's just I feel like their teams are so overrated. His teams are so overrated during the season, and then when it comes down to it, they win just enough games to make it to a significant bowl game. 10-win games, 10 wins because they're playing in a conference. It's not very good, but right now his Alabama defense is just kind of dominating Texas A&M. This guy literally handed off the ball 7 yards in the backfield and was hit immediately by the linebacker. He was on him the minute he handed the ball to him. Anyway, so that's your college football update. Let's go back to the trivia question. You remember the trivia question?
Yeah. What SEC teams have not played in the SEC championship game since inception '92?
Wow, look at you! You actually listened to me. I'm excited. Yeah. So yeah, which teams, current SEC teams, have never been to a SEC college football or SEC football championship game since 1992
Right.
when they started? So, do you have an answer for me? Do you know who they are?
Well, so I was going to kind of work it out.
Go ahead.
I know who has. Georgia's been.
Uh-huh.
Alabama's been.
Uh-huh.
see here. Florida's been, Tennessee has been, because this is in '92, which means Tennessee would have gone in '97 or whatever it was. The one of the ones I think that hasn't is Missouri.
That would be incorrect.
Missouri, has Missouri been to the SEC championship game?
Twice.
Wow.
Lost them both, but yes, they've been twice.
A&M?
Texas A&M is one of those teams. Correct. You're right.
Okay, so I just kind of had it backwards. Oh, A&M. Is A&M in the division with Alabama?
Yes.
All right. Well, that kind of explains that.
Texas A&M has never been to
one. Kentucky?
Kentucky's one. Yep. You got two of them now. And we're on a
roll. Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt's the third one. Who's the fourth one?
South Carolina?
No.
One more guess. Mississippi State?
Oh, no. Mississippi State's been
in.
Ole Miss.
Was it Ole Miss?
It's Ole Miss.
Damn. It was a 50-50.
Yeah. Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
Can I phone a friend?
Yeah, you could have, but we're out of time. Kentucky and Vanderbilt from the SEC East, and Ole Miss and Texas A&M from the SEC West. Those teams have never been to an SEC championship game. Alabama's been to 11 of the 20 whatever championship games so far, and they've played Florida, Tennessee. Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, and then one game against Missouri. So that's all their games are pretty much against those same teams. Those are the only. I mean, I don't know. It's always Florida or Georgia. It seems like, and they had the one game against Tennessee, Alabama did. So.
Yeah, I think Auburn should flip divisions, and I think we should have Vanderbilt flip divisions.
So, of those games, Florida and Alabama have played 9 times in the SEC championship game. So wow. That's your matchup. That's who always wins. Just FYI. So, all right. So next show, when's going to be our next show? We always talk about this.
Little TBD.
To be determined right now. I would say probably next weekend about this time.
That sounds right.
If we don't have anything going on, but Saturday afternoon seems to be pretty good. So let's plan on that. But we'll send it out on social media, and you can check on the webpage. I'll put it on the webpage. You can find it there. We're going to talk more. We'll talk more NFL, right? We'll talk about the results from week 4 and what's coming up in week 5. This NCAA football. We'll talk about the NBA finals. It will probably be over at that point. We'll talk about the MLB playoffs, and then we'll keep you informed of all the news that we think is interesting. # get your own show. Again, we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend, give or take. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports. On Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can email us, lammsports@gmail.com. Please send us an email, send us a tweet, send us something. Just tell us what you think, what you want to hear more of. Is there some sport we're missing? Would you rather us talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and how they won the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs? Would that have been more exciting? Should we have talked about that? Is it Major League Lacrosse? What is it that we're missing? Canadian curling? I don't know. But if you got something you want to talk about, please, by all means, send us a message. Let us know. If you like what we're doing, also send us a message. Tell us. We want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Last words for you?
Continue to wash your hands. Don't stop.
Right. Yeah, now's not the time to be having a big rally when you introduce your Supreme Court nominee. But you didn't hear that from me. Yeah, please continue to social distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, all that stuff. Keep yourself safe. We want to have you back here next weekend to listen to us, because if you're in the hospital, they might not let you. So anything else before I go? Last chance. We're good.
Go Coes, go Vols.
All right. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you